That's what a CPB officer pulled over somebody in Miami-Dade County and then as an excuse to detain them. Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you it like this. I'm going to explain to you exactly why every white person in this country who voted for Trump is a racist piece of shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. How do you wink at a nigger? How do you wink at a nigger?
Oh my God, please stop.
All right, motherfucker. I learned that from a 10-year-old son of a police detective in my hometown growing up.
Well, that escalated incredibly quickly. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Sean, and today we got to tell you this story out of El Portal, Florida, where you had an individual who is a representative on their city council recount a tale that he heard when he was 10 years old, or from a 10-year-old, presumably when he was also in and around the same age, which of course ended up involving using the N-word 2 different times in order to make the point that Trump supporters 30 years later, presumably, I'm guessing this guy is in his 30s or 40s, I'm not exactly sure, are all evil white racists because this 10-year-old told him a joke about how to wink at an N-word, and the joke was you hold up the gun and you're like winking in order to aim with said firearm. So this is a thing that actually happened. It is embarrassing in every possible way, and of course, this ultra-woke left-wing person decided that he has to apologize now because, oh my god, how dare he use that no-no word. It's absolutely embarrassing, and while it is embarrassing, I will point out that the context in which that it was used is actually more embarrassing than the usage of it on its own. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Now to a story you'll see only on CBS News Miami tonight. A local council member is apologizing to his community after repeatedly using a racial slur during a public meeting last week.
Lauren, residents spoke with passion and concern as they addressed El Portal Councilman Anders Urbom, and he did apologize, and he said that he, quote, used that word to express how people talk. But the folks who showed up here tonight say what he said last week was completely unacceptable.
So look, I am the person here to point out the obvious for all you guys out there in the audience, and the fact that this guy's name is actually Urbom, as in the hard R and then bomb, and he utilized this word, I think should not be lost on everybody out there in the audience. That being said, while he did apologize, while people are outraged by his uses of the word, I will point out that the whole entire point of him using the word was to say that Trump supporters are evil, white, and racist because, according to him...
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you it like this. I'm going to explain to you exactly why every white person in this country who voted for Trump is a racist piece of shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. How do you wink at a nigger? How do you wink at a nigger?
Oh my God, please stop.
All right, motherfucker. I learned that from a 10-year-old son of a police detective in my hometown growing up.
This story, which in reality is a joke, not a very good joke, not a very clever joke, was told to him by a 10-year-old, which again presumably happened 20, 30, maybe even 40 years ago, depending on how old this individual actually is, and somehow that relates to Trump supporters to this very day. Like, obviously, you shouldn't be using racial epithets. In fact, when I was flying back to New York from doing Tim's show at the airport, I actually saw one of these N-word instances where a lady referred to a black Delta employee who allegedly, according to her, was following her as the N-word. By the way, if somebody has that viral video from Terminal B of the Sarasota airport, that would be absolutely amazing. I did not think quick enough in order to record it for myself. Obviously, I know you guys out there in the audience are going to raise money for the lady who said the N-word in that instance, Shiloh Hendricks style, but regardless of any of that, I actually did see one of these actual instances in person, which was quite surprising because they're incredibly rare. But in this particular case, he's talking about a 10-year-old telling a terrible joke. It's like if you were to say, oh, you want to know why Trump supporters hate Mexicans? Because when I was 10 years old, some kid came up to me and he said, what do you call 2 Mexicans playing basketball? One-on-one. Huh? Get it? Evil white racism? Trump bad? Trump terrible?
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you it like this. I'm going to explain to you exactly why every white person in this country who voted for Trump is a racist piece of shit.
Trump simply hearing Trump over again.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
No, you're more weird for obsessing over a joke that you heard when you were a child than, of course, the people who actually told the joke or people who didn't tell the joke that are currently Trump supporters to this day that have nothing to do with the scenario that you're talking about. It is absurd. It is ridiculous. And again, the way that the left continuously utilizes the N-word in relation to immigration enforcement, it's like an odd trend, but apparently we're seeing multiple instances of it. We talked about the Border Patrol agent that they called a house N-word because he called one of the people who may or may not have been a man, and they didn't like him because he's enforcing immigration and whatnot. And yeah, it just shows you that these people who always talk about evil white racism actually have racism top of mind because they view people as different from them based on skin color and innate characteristics.
As elected officials, we should hold ourselves to an even higher standard when it comes to professionalism and decorum.
El Portal Mayor Omar Nickerson addressing the village council and residents at the beginning of Tuesday night's council meeting.
Okay, so this story is obviously generated by AI, right? Because the mayor of this town is a black man named Nickerson, and then you have the guy who said the N-word, and his name is Urbom, like hard R bomb. Get it? Get what's happening right here? And I'm supposed to believe that this is real. And again, the whole entire premise of the story was that Trump supporters are evil, white, and racist because he heard the N-word from a 10-year-old who allegedly was the son of a police detective, and he always heard police detectives use the N-word in reference to black people.
How do you wink at a nigger? How do you wink at a nigger?
Oh my God, please stop.
All right, motherfucker. I learned that from a 10-year-old son of a police detective in my hometown growing up. His father, a police detective, his best friend, another police detective. All right? My entire existence growing up, yeah, walk away. Walk away. Do it. Walk away. We're coming. Everyone's in the streets. All right.
Also, when they cut to the crowd and the people that are outraged by this particular situation, the crowd appears to have no black people in it at all whatsoever. Maybe they were just not interested in this particular scandal. Maybe it didn't bother them. Maybe it didn't concern them. But it is nice that Mr. Urbom actually shaved his face, tried to make himself look a bit presentable when he came back to the city council in order to apologize for dropping that Urbom in his particular story.
After Councilman Anders Urbom received backlash for using the N-word twice at a meeting last week.
I am sorry, and I apologize. I quoted these hateful words. I am deeply remorseful.
Yeah, so he apologizes. He said he's deeply remorseful, but in reality, this man is deeply stupid. Like, he's an actual idiot, because this had nothing to even do with the subject matter of the meeting. When you hear what they were actually discussing in said meeting, it's gonna make you laugh even more.
At the end of last Thursday's planning and zoning meeting, Urbom wanted to bring up an issue he's seen in the community.
How do you wink at a nigger? How do you wink at a nigger? All right, motherfucker.
Yeah, they were talking about zoning. They were talking about zoning restrictions and whatnot that typically prevent you from building, which typically raise the price of housing. And at the end of a meeting on zoning, this guy's like, whoa, hold on one second. Even though we're about to adjourn, I need to bring something up. It's absolutely crucial. And this is the story of a 10-year-old son of a detective who told me when I was 10 years old this joke that involved the N-word. And I need to intercede at this moment in time. And by the way, it's actually pretty funny because the person filming this particular thing from the city council person gave like an audible gasp after he said it the first time, and then had other commentary the second time, like, please stop, like, cut it out, man. And it's absolutely hilarious.
How do you wink at a nigger? How do you wink at a nigger?
But now knowing that it was in the context of the end of a meeting from the city council on zoning, and of course that this guy's name is Urbom and the mayor's name is Nickerson, who happens to be a black person, again, it just makes it all the more hilarious, all the more entertaining. And the fact that this was somehow an indirect, insane smear of the evil orange man and all of his voters also makes this even more hilarious.
Vice Mayor Darian Martin was quick to respond.
I do understand that you're trying to make a point, but even in trying to make a point, I do think it is a grossly offensive word.
Now, the local news media plays another censored version of his story. We're just going to cut through that because apparently at the time, in the moment, a black city council member was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you white liberals really need to cut this nonsense out. And she was offended by the usage of the word, which again, he was not necessarily labeling any particular black person with said word, but it seems like he kind of crowbarred it into the situation, especially when, again, the purpose of the meeting was to talk about issues related to zoning. So I'm actually on this woman's side, even though, again, her offense, it's not really the issue at hand, in my humble opinion. What's more offensive is him trying to smear all Trump supporters based on a story that he allegedly heard when he was 10 years old, and in addition to that, making this somehow related to CBD doing a stop that occurred in his town, allegedly. Again, I don't know if I believe anything that this person is telling, except for the fact that he heard this joke at some point in his life and was just looking for a context to repeat it in. But yeah, it's embarrassing to watch this go down in a city council meeting, and the ritualistic humiliation of this individual, while it is definitely deserved, is also incredibly embarrassing. Like, I'm embarrassed watching this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information other than point and laugh at this dumbass, at this absolute idiot who decided to crowbar this in to a meeting where it did not belong.
To be mentioned in any context, I find it offensive. So I'll personalize it for you, that even though I understand that you're trying to make a statement, I actually don't understand it, but it appears as though you're trying to make a statement.
Okay, you know what? I spoke a little bit too soon. I actually 100% do support this city council member, even though I likely disagree with her on other issues, because she's like, look, I understand you're trying to make a statement, but I have no idea what the hell you're trying to say. Like, what is the point of this particular story? You're an absolute idiot in every possible way, and essentially she's dressing him down, and appropriately so, for being stupid, which I honestly genuinely appreciate in this particular situation. Again, Mr. Urbom, you're embarrassing. You offended not only this lady, but Mayor Nickerson, and yeah, we're not going to tolerate that nonsense. You need to really cut it out.
I do say that as a white man, you should not be saying the N-word in any context, and I take great offense to it. And I think that you owe us an apology.
I will certainly apologize. I mean no offense to anyone other than white Christians who voted for Trump.
So she demands an apology for him, and then, of course, we end up panning across the screen. We see a guy wearing an interesting hat. Again, the cast of characters on this city council, absolutely hilarious. And then he's like, look, I apologize. I didn't mean to offend anyone except for white Christians that voted for Trump. I hate them damn white Christians that voted for Trump, which, again, really goes to show you that he's telling the story that involves a racial slur, not to attack black people, but to attack people that he disagrees with politically, and attack people that, again, are white and Christian, which, again, he appears to have a problem with because he's an absurdly stupid individual, and this is absolutely hilarious. Like, let's be honest, guys. This is all fun and games. This guy deserves to be mocked, derided, and honestly, I hope that he has to follow through on his wokeness by resigning from his position, because he should not be in elected office if he's this stupid. It's not the phrasing that he used itself in all contexts, like that lady said. It's this specific context and the fact that he crowbarred this in to a meeting on zoning.
5 days later, Urbom apologized again.
And that all slurs should be globally buried. I acknowledge and understand that the word I use, no matter the context, is beyond offensive and even traumatizing. None of this excuses my choice to use the word. I am sorry.
So look, he gives his apology. He says in all contexts this should not be said, which is not true. He would never condemn a black person for saying it. And then we get reactions from people. Another white guilted coward says, oh my God, I was so offended by this. Then you have a black person who accepts his apology, which I guess is good for him. And then you have a woman come up to him and hug him and say, you're the only one speaking the truth, which again, I will point out that he was defaming people based on their political beliefs, not speaking the truth, being an absolute a-hole in every possible way. And the people that he owes an apology are the ones that he tried to defame with this particular ridiculous story that has nothing to do with anything.
I don't care what nobody says. Sometimes you're the only one saying no for us, okay?
Prior to Tuesday's meeting, we spoke to the local leader of the NAACP about the councilman's choice of words.
There were other words, another way that he could have used to express his concerns. While we do acknowledge his apology, and we understand the seriousness of Border Patrol and customs in our neighborhoods, those words do not have to be used against anyone.
So the NAACP representative doesn't really accept his apology. They then shift to a random person in the town who's like, it's not for me to decide, it's for the village.
When we asked residents if Urbom should face consequences,
that's not up for me to decide. It's up to the village to voice their opinion. I'm not going to say he should do anything. I'm extremely disappointed, obviously.
And honestly, I don't really care what this left-wing area that voted this guy into power actually thinks. I will just point out that the whole purpose of this story was to defame people that disagreed with him politically, promote more division and craziness, and that is actually the truly disgusting part of this whole event. But of course, I want to leave it up to you guys out there in the audience. What do you think about his particular story? Are all Trump supporters evil white racists, filled with evil white racism? So much so that you need to bring up this story in a zoning meeting? Or is this guy just an idiot, an embarrassing idiot, a white guilted coward in every possible way? And should he suffer endless humiliation as a consequence of this? As a consequence, by the way, of trying to satisfy a left wing that inherently hates white people like him, even if he's on his knees groveling to them constantly. Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about absolute madness going on. Till next time.